Are you a solopreneur, a team of 5 ready to scale, or a remote team in SLC looking for a new space? Look no further. The Square has everything you need. Fast Wi-Fi, meeting rooms, great coffee, daily breakfast and snack, and a vibrant community to keep you inspired. From dedicated desks to private offices and enterprise suites, there's a space for you. No matter where you are in the journey, the Square has a spot to help you succeed. Check out the Square's co-working and flexible office space today and take your work to the next level. Let's be honest, we're all juggling a lot these days. Between work, family, and everything else, the last thing you need is to spend hours dealing with car-related tasks. That's where Fleetly comes in. Fleetly is your personal car concierge service designed to give you your time back. Need an oil change, car service, ride to the airport, Fleetly takes care of it. Want your vehicle detailed or even sold? Fleetly's got you covered. No more waiting in lines, no more wasted weekends at the shop, just more time to do what really matters, whether it's growing your career, enjoying moments with your family, or just kicking back and relaxing. Right now, Small Lake City listeners can get 10% off with code SLCPOD at checkout. Visit Fleetly.com and let them handle the hassle so you don't have to. Again, use SLCPOD at checkout for 10% off.
Originally, I'm from Vietnam. Until I'm about 15, my parents just one day you're moving to US. My family gonna migrate to the US soon, and they wanna send us earlier so we can get used to the life there. Yeah. We remember on the way home, we always pass this little bakery. It's we have a little bit of saving that we took from Vietnam. Why don't you just open your own shop? We learn a lot from each other for sure, and I'm so happy. I'm so glad to have her by my side even through these difficult times. And something that I really want to share today. Most of my restaurant owner or bakery owner friend I know is seeing the average about 30 to 40% down since last summer. It's my personality that if I see anything, I want to learn. So when I was back in Vietnam for 2-month vacation, I actually applied to work in a bakery chain. Because I'm I know I don't care about the recipe, but I want to see how the operation,
You're I'm going to go undercover.
Yeah.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Small Lake City Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Nilsson, and about a week and a half ago, Irie Cao, the owner and founder of Doki Doki Dessert, wrote an open letter to the community saying that she needed help. She said that things weren't looking great and needed the support to help keep her in business. Now, Salt Lake, being the community that I know, showed up big, was able to keep her in business, and sold out for almost every time since then. Now, as she's gotten her help, she's been able to point people in other directions for other businesses who could use a little bit of support right now. She talks a lot about a lot of the trends she is seeing with her and some of her other restaurant friends, why things tend to be so hard right now, and what we can do to make it better for them. So if you haven't been to Doki Doki yet, you have to go. Their desserts are amazing. They're all handmade and a great experience, and going to be some unique things that you probably can't get at most other bakeries around the city. So keep in mind that Irie was born in Vietnam and came here during high school and then moved back after. She does have a pretty thick accent, but don't be mistaken. She knows her stuff and is not afraid to share it. So there's definitely something we can all learn from this. It's a great story. There's a lot of great supporting actors that help her in her journey, just how Salt Lake usually does in moments like this. So check it out. Enjoy. I will see you on the other side. I love the idea of baking every day because I love doing things with my hands.
Yeah.
But the idea of every day going to bed and seeing a 3:45 or 4 alarm clock, not quite as exciting, but I'm sure you get used to it.
Yeah, it's actually my first time doing 3 a.m. shift because usually Doki open at noon.
Okay.
So we start around 8 a.m. kind of thing. But because we're gonna start opening 8 a.m. next week, so now this week I just start practicing getting up early.
Yeah.
And then next week when it's real game time.
Good luck. That's all, because the one I always paid attention to was Banbury Cross. I mean, on 7th East, and anytime I was downtown and home within the last 5 years, I would always drive past there, and I would always look inside, and there'd always be a light on. I'd be like, oh, and my being ignorant, I was like, oh, someone's probably left a light on or something. But I'm like, no, they are in there baking at 3 or 4 in the morning because they have early donuts that go a lot of places.
Yeah. It's like the same with me. I know the bakery usually start really early, but I didn't know how early it is until I went to Vietnam. Like I visited Vietnam recently. And the last week when I was there, my husband like, hey, let's change our time clock. So we're gonna like awake the entire night in Vietnam and then sleep during the day. So when we fly back to America, we be good, you know? And I remember we drive back to our hotel at like 2 a.m. in the morning, and the bakery will start going. Like all of the bakery will start going in on the street, and they chain like 85-degree toiletries and stuff like that. So I know that it would be the same across the world, you know. And my husband like, are you sure they're working? I'm like, don't you smell the butter?
Those smells don't come on their own. It's like you see your fate because you know you're going to start opening soon. And you're like, I'm looking at my life very soon.
Yeah.
But grateful that you are, because as I've said and will always say, I love a good sweet treat. I love a good baked good. And yours are some of my favorites. And we can get into that. But Irie, I'm excited to talk today because it's been fun to meet a lot of people and see what other people are involved in their story. And like we've talked about in the first person who told me about Doki, I mean, Ying Nance, who now, I mean, Chubby Baker and her husband, Cameron Nance, who has Bespoke and HM Cole. But it's been fun to kind of get to know things more, but then also see how much, I mean, you've helped in the community around us. But I kind of want to hear about the story about how it all started, because not born here in the US, but I mean, talk to me a little bit about, I mean, where you're from and that journey to get here.
So originally I'm from Vietnam, born and raised until I'm about like 15 years old. My parents just one day like, you're moving to US. And I'm like, what? And they were like, well, my family gonna migrate to the US soon, and they want to send it earlier so we can get used to the life there, learn English and stuff like that. So they sent me and my 13 years old sister to LA.
Just the two of you?
Yeah, just the two of us.
To stay with family, or who are you with there?
We stay with my aunt for like for about a couple of years, and then we move out and just stay on our own kind of thing.
Wow, the thought of just travel, like if you were to look me in the eye and be like, all right, go to Vietnam on your own, like I would be a little nervous and anxious. The thought of being a 15-year-old girl who's never, had you been to the US before?
No.
So go to another country. I assume English wasn't as good as it is now. Yeah. And that's impressive. And also take care of your sibling. Yeah. That's amazing. So you get here, you live with your aunt for a little bit, and then you get your own place in another country. Sorry, keep going. That's just amazing.
Yeah. So me and my sister went to school every day, and we remember on the way home, we always passed this little bakery. And back in the day, you know, like 10 years ago, the treat there was like $1.50, really cheap, really affordable for students. I always took my sister there. And then later on, we found out it was a Japanese bakery. And I fell in love with the treat, you know. And then it's like my cousin started telling me that like you actually can bake at home in America because all of our stove have the oven underneath.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, like in Vietnam, you don't have the oven underneath at the time. It's just the stove top on the top of the counter.
Yeah, and like then, a hot plate almost. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it just leads to this propane gas on the side, you know. So it was like really back in the day kind of thing. So I'm like, oh, really? And then I start out with like cupcake, like no box cupcake kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, I want to try something new. So I go online and I search for cream puff because that's what my favorite treat in Vietnam. And I found like the way to make cream puff and stuff like that. Then I start like, what about the treat in the bakery that I always get? And then I start like get into more like, different type of cake, right? Because usually the cake is the most expensive in the bakery.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, what if I make cakes? Then it will be cheaper for me to have cake at home. That's when I started learning about like chiffon cake, castella cake, all those things from Japan. And I started realizing that like Japanese baking is so much harder than Western baking.
It is a science. It is a master craft. What were some of your favorite things that you got at the Japanese bakery that got it started?
So, the chiffon, like the strawberry shortcake is one of those things. I remember this bread, but it's kind of like a cake. But it's savory. It's have like a layer of butter on the outside, and then they put pork with a shredded pork on top of it, with some like green onion and stuff like that. And that's like, it was really interesting. Just like you have a savory cake kind of thing, and that's why I was like, that really get me going. Like it's just like make me really like, how does this work? You know, the curiosity going.
And especially to have a kitchen where you can go to this bakery, be like, this is really good. I'm going to buy a treat. But then realizing like, I have everything at home to do this, and like figuring it out. Because, I mean, it's such a superpower. Similar to that when I had Max from Central Ninth Market, like he was working at, I can't remember what chain restaurant it was, but then he started working somewhere else. And he's like, man, I really wish I could like cook this. And his chef looked at me, he's like, what do you mean you can? Like, you know how to do everything. Everything's here. Just do it. And that's one thing I love about, I mean, cooking in general is everybody has most of the tools.
Yeah.
Mostly. Like, sure, there's certain appliances and stuff if you want to get really specific. But to your point, like like typical American dwelling has an oven and has a microwave and has a stovetop. And so it's fun that you get to have this and experiment, but also have it be a way. For cake being an example, we're like, I can make it cheaper and I can make it how I want to. Yeah. To have all of those.
Yeah. And it's really amazing when I moved to America, everything is so readily available. You know, like even the hand mixer, the blender. Back in the day when I was in Vietnam, those things wasn't popular back then. It actually cost you a lot of money to get those. So it was like out of the question, you know, like unless you need it every day, my parents gonna be like, no.
We're not getting a mixer. You're not baking at home. Why would you need a mixer?
Yeah, so that's like, I was blown away with like what available in America, you know, and I love it. I'm gonna use all of it.
Yeah, I can imagine you, again, like you're learning how to cook, you have this kitchen, you're motivated, and then you're like, well, thinking of home in Vietnam, like, well, I really wish I had a hand mixer this, and being like, oh, wait, it's actually freeze. Like I can get this and start cooking with it. Interesting.
Yeah. So it was really fun. And then I actually have to move back home right after high school for like about 2 years. Then at that time, my sister stayed here in America to finish high school. And then she moved to Utah for college, Salt Lake Community College.
Got it. Why'd she go to Salt Lake of all places?
Her ex-boyfriend was here.
It's usually one of those.
Yeah, and then she was like, we love LA. We love how diversity over there, how big the Asian community is, but it's just too busy. You know, everybody just like go, and it just, people are not as friendly. So when she come to Utah, to Salt Lake City actually, to visit her ex-boyfriend, she walk out the street and say like, everybody just smile at me. They say hello, you know, and stuff like that. And she was like, I think you will really like it here if you come back, you know? Yeah. And then when my family was ready to migrate, I went with my parents back here. And we just moved to Salt Lake, the entire family, even though we have relative, we have grandparents, our cousin, I was like auntie and uncle in LA. We just moved to Utah.
Wow. Was that the plan? Because so your parents send you to LA to live with family, and then you're on your own. Yeah. You come back after high school, and your sister comes here. You come here. Yeah. Was your parents' plan the whole time to go to LA?
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that you're both like, hey, we like it here more. We think you would too. They're like, sure, on our way.
Yeah, and it's funny because my mom actually cried every single day for the first year she was here.
Oof.
Yeah, because she doesn't speak any English, so she's like, I'm like a blind, deaf, and mute person this entire time. And she still is in some sense, but they adapt. They make friends at church, and I'm like, how? But okay.
Like, I don't know how this is communicating, but like, glad you have people.
Yeah, I think because my dad know English, so he helped her out a little bit, but
Got it.
they enjoy it here. So I'm happy for you, kind of thing.
Good.
So when I moved back here, actually, I worked in food industry for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, server, host, like back kitchen, just like kitchen help and stuff like that. And then my last job before Doki was actually a manager at an ice cream shop.
Mm.
It's the at the time it was the viral Thai roll ice cream.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was really good at that.
I bet.
And then just like they actually sold the place, and the new owner took over. And as you know, thing just doesn't work out. So I was looking for another job, and my mom was looking at me at the time, and she was like, "We have a little bit of saving that we took from Vietnam. Why don't you just open your own shop?" So,
did you want to do that at the time, or like, had you considered it at all, or is this your mom just being like, maybe you should do this?
I always wanna own a business of my own, like wanna have my own restaurant, have my own shop, kind of thing like that. But since I like baking so much, I always knew I wanna do a bakery, And it's like I was really naive at the time because I do so much as a manager at the shop. Like, I know how this run. I got this.
You're like, oh yeah, go try it out. You're like, never mind. I have some questions.
Yeah, so it was a whole new thing doing business in America compared to Vietnam. Like Vietnam, if you want to open a business, just you're gonna open your door at your home, set things up, and start selling.
Yeah.
But in America, when I was like, side of rent, I'm like, oh, we got this. We get this going. And then the city coming in, the health department coming in, all of the licensing and stuff like that. And that is just like before you even open the door. So like, I was really stressed, but it just the Vietnamese side in me is I'm like, I'm not gonna ask anyone to help me with this. I just go up to the city by myself, and I was like, this is my first time. I don't know what I'm doing. Please help. And it was really nice. Like everybody was like kind of scaring me about like how the city and the health department is really mean and stuff. But when I come up, they was really nice. They walked me through every single thing, and I get it going. Like it was really smooth, the whole process. Yeah. So that's why I always tell people like, don't ask anyone, don't use agency. Just walk up there. Yeah.
And at least try first. Like it's one thing to, again, like let's say you're opening up a bakery and someone's like, oh, because everyone will tell you, oh, it's so hard. There's so many processes. It's going to take forever. There's all of these hoops you have to jump through. But there's the people who are like, here's a person who can take care of it for me, take money, whatever. But there's the special kind of person is the one that's like, I'm going to try this because worst case scenario, I end up where I would have started from and I can say I tried, or I just figured it all out.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to spend any extra money. And so it's great that you just show up, you're like, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm trying to get here. Can you help me? They're like, yeah, just fill this out, come here, do that. Like, so I love that you just kind of leaned into it, like, tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Yeah. So it was really nice. I remember so specifically, I have a fire inspection, and that's the last thing on the list for me to open. And I woke up late that day. They gonna show up at 7 a.m. for the inspection. And when I was on the way, I was like 20 minutes away, and they call like, we're here. And I'm like, they're gonna piss at me. They're gonna be so pissed. They're gonna leave, and I cannot open Doki on time, kind of thing. But then the firefighter like, don't stress. We look into your store because there's like huge window.
Yeah.
We see the fire extinguisher. You're good. We pass you.
And I love that they realize, they're like, listen, we just need to see that. We see it. Get here when you can. So, because they could have been like, well, we're leaving and you have to book another time to come do this. So I love that people gave you grace when they could.
Yeah. And I think that just like be nice, be kind, and most of people willing to go out their way to help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's when we opened Doki. We missed the Valentine because I wanted to open on Valentine so badly. Yeah. But we missed it by 4 days.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Tough. So close, but so far away.
Yeah. So we opened on February 18th, 2018.
Dang.
Yeah.
So when you first, are putting together your menu for the original menu at Doki, what kind of things did you want to make sure that were in the shop then?
So I started out with milk tea. Mm-hmm. And then I have crepes, Japanese crepes.
Those are my favorite one. The crepe cake. Yeah, those are my favorite cake of yours.
Yeah, and then we started out with just crepe, like normal crepe.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, normal crepes.
Yeah.
Also, still love those. So crepes are safe with me.
Yeah, and then we have roll ice cream because that's what I know how to do at the time. Yeah, so we started that out. It was pretty rough because it's still the winter, that's February in Utah. So it was really slow. Then we started having some customer who were just curious. They're like, we drive by, we see you guys. And at the time, it's really funny because my parents say that they have saving to help me open Doki. But something came up. Like life. Yeah. So instead of like original promise of $55,000 to open Doki, they was able to give me 10.
Okay.
So it was like almost just like enough for rent and deposit.
Like goes from this like great plan of things like, okay, we got to scale this down a little bit, but
a lot of it.
A lot of it.
But I am very lucky because my sister, husband at the time, she got married, is a contractor. And he's looked at me, he like, we make this work. You just buy all the material as cost. Go to like Home Depot with me. We just get the list and I will remodel the entire store for you for $2,000.
Steal. What a great person.
Yeah. And at the time, he worked in construction for another company. So he would go to work at 7 a.m. and then he would come home at 5 p.m. and then go work at Doki until midnight or 1 a.m.
Wow.
And then me and my sister were just there. He worked, we clean up, kind of thing like that. Like we tried to paint and we did mess up pretty badly. They have to fix it. So it's like, it was just a wild ride. And then my sister, she like interior design. So she helped design Doki from the A to Z, like everything. Wow. And I remember we were just like, we don't have any money, right? So we went to Saver. Mm-hmm. We went to these like all used item and she was like, I think that would work. Let's get that. And then she just put this thing and that thing and this thing together. And it's like, I put all of the equipment and anything to start a business on my credit card, just max it out kind of thing. And we get Doki to open. It's just make it work.
Yeah.
So I was like, it was really fun. It was really cozy, it make it like my sister wanna make it feel like it's at home when you go there. And then we actually wrote down on the menu by hand, like on the menu, everything by hand. And it was really fun. People actually like our few first customer actually can feel that, they walk in, everything handwritten, really nice, Disney music playing and stuff like that. So It was fun for a while, but then I started realizing that like the market in Utah for for the crepes is not that big. We don't have a lot of people wanting that. So we decided like, what if we just take it away and focus on something more like the raw ice cream.
Yeah.
And we did that for a little bit, like we not completely take it away, but just dial it down, like very limited. And we have raw ice cream for a long time. It did explode for a little bit, but it's really harsh on you because you was like scraping
just push it. It's just all day, just rolling ice cream. That's hard.
Yeah, so we're like, this is not sufficient, but I at the time don't know what to do. Like I was like, just keep at it. Like I don't know what to do at this point. We're just really lost. Then COVID hit.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Of course. When it rains, it pours. Of all times, it's then.
COVID hit, and I actually shut down Doki for a little bit. I was talking to the landlord like, I might quit. I'm gonna get back the space and stuff like that. We shut down for about 2.5 months.
Okay.
I remember in 2019, the end of 2019, and then I actually met my husband.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I met my husband during the shutdown time during COVID. Completely lost, don't know what I'm gonna do. And then we would get to talking, and he like, wait, I've been to Doki.
No way. That's so funny.
Yeah, I actually went on the date at Doki. I'm like, great.
Like, now I remember who you are.
Yeah, so he was like, I love that place. Why do you want to give up? And I explained the whole situation with him. And he was like, you know what? I know you're in a pickle. You still have a lot of debt that you need to pay back. And you're going to get yourself in a really bad situation if you just shut down the store right now. Because rent contract and stuff like that. So he like, what if we open the store back up? And we did all the calculation. He was like, just you and me working. We don't need anyone else. Just you and me. And we just need to make $200 per day to make rent. And that's all we need to do until we can find someone that you can sell your store to. That was the original plan.
Okay. And this is on the first date. Just kidding.
It was probably on the 4th day.
Wow. What a great human.
Yeah. He's
already
amazing.
like, I will come, I will work every day, we will do this, it'll work. Like, yeah, maybe I should marry you.
And he actually, because if we want to, reopen, I have to pay the rent that I was still owe. So he take out his saving, $5,000, all of his saving, and he was like, here's the back rent. Can we get the space back, kind of thing? And we did. We opened the store back up. And at that time, we only opened from 5 p.m. Because that's when he get off work and he gonna go help me.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then I would go in a little bit earlier to just prep the stuff, getting ready and stuff like that. And, like when COVID hit, right? Restaurant would got to shut down for a little bit. So we would rely heavily on DoorDash.
Yeah.
And on a delivery platform at the time, they cut the commission fee in half. So what was really great. And my husband, it was a blessing in disguise because at the time, everybody at home, right? And they can get to cook a lot of food at home. They try cooking this, and this. But then the stuff at Doki, you can't really make that at home.
Like, make a crepe cake, I dare you.
So it's like, on DoorDash, we just start getting order after order after order. And it's like, we're like, wow. I remember my husband and I look at the sale, like, we actually make $300 today.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it started going up and going up. And then it's like, DoorDash is like our free advertising kind of thing. And we're like, we need to hire someone else. Like, maybe I just open all day and then you help me at night. And I just need another person to help me in the morning. So we hire our first employee after COVID.
Okay.
And then the city okay, you can open back up. And that's why we start doing curbside pickup and then start getting people in for dining. And that one, it start getting going. And And it's also thanks to my husband in the sense that he was doing marketing in the back end.
Okay.
He started Doki Instagram. He was like, let's hit hard on this. Like, you have the products that can showcase. Let's do it, you know? So I just started taking pictures. He edited it. He's like, have me write a caption and stuff like that. And he started reaching out to people. And that's how I get to know Ying.
Yeah, guys, I was thinking about, I was like, that. So that's about the time that, Ying starts doing that. Also with your husband, like, I love, it reminds me of Amy, like, Doe Lady's story with her husband being like, hey, this can be a business. Like, you should do this. And so I love what's your husband's name?
Derek.
Okay. It's like, with Derek being like, hey, like, no, don't close. Keep this open. I'll come work. This will work out. And then it like, you get to this point where you're like, hey, it actually is working. I can hire someone.
Yeah.
But talk to me about meeting Ying, just out of my own curiosity of how two friends meet.
So my husband would message everyone in the food scene kind of thing, posting about food to like come in and try Doki. And then he came across Ying. It's a recommending page or something like that. And he was like, wow, there's another Asian bakery. And I think she do it out of her house. But at the time, Ying have more follower than Doki.
Yeah.
She's like, I remember, like, I look at, like, we have like 2,000 followers at the time, and she have over 10,000. So my husband like, you might be able to learn from her. Let's just meet her. And actually the meeting happened the same day. He texted me and the meeting was like 2 hours later.
By the way, here she is and she wants to meet you. You hear it this time, you're like, okay.
So she walked in with this box of donuts. I sit down, couldn't stop eating. Took the first bite and I just keep on eating and we start chatting. And because he's from Thailand, there's just so many similarities between Thailand and Vietnam, the culture-wise. We start become like really close friends. It just clicked right away. Yeah. So we start talking about flavor. We start talking about the business side. And then it's like, I remember when she still do donut at her house, I came over and have her box donuts, fill donuts and stuff like that. It was really fun. Yeah. So that's how we become really, really good friends kind of thing.
That's so fun that you get, because again, like, it's not just baking. It's not just baking, having an Asian influenced bakery, but then it's like, do you remember home? Do you remember these things? Because there's so few, like, this is going to sound like a very ignorant comparison, but like I have this group of friends from high school, and I've learned that in my life, as like I've met so many people over the past year and a half with the podcast and just in my life in general, anybody you meet will only know you from like this moment on. Like anything else is a story. It's something that you don't experience. But I've learned that with some of my oldest friends, it's like, oh, I love talking to these people because we can talk about this. And it's not just me telling you a story or trying to explain something. It's a shared experience. So similarly with you and Ying, it's like, yeah, I do miss home. I do miss these things. Remember that treat or this treat or, because I mean, I would assume that Vietnam and Thailand are similar enough in geography and culture that there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah, there's so many flavors. That's like, at the time, passion fruit wasn't a thing in America. But we know about it. We start talking about it. I think we are I bet Ying was the first person offering passion fruit flavored dessert in Utah.
I believe it.
And then I follow right after. Because like growing up, I didn't really like passion fruit. My dad loved it, but I'm like, it's too tart for a kid, you know? Yeah. But then I remember I was like, I want to do this to Ying. So we're like, okay, let me come over. I'm going to teach you how to do the sauce. So the passion fruit sauce, if you taste the passion fruit sauce of Chubby Baker and Doki, it's exactly the same.
Well, I was thinking about, because like when I had Amber on, like Amber loves passion fruit flavored anything. And she mentioned like, I love Chubby Baker because it has a passion fruit on it. And I love Doki because they have passion fruit cake too. So I'm like, so it's interesting that it's...
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
the more you know.
And then it's like after she taught me how to do the passion fruit sauce, I was like, wait, what if I can do a passion fruit whipped cream to make the cake? And I was like, that's when I share back that with her. It's like, I think this is how I make it work with the passion fruit cream kind of thing. It's like we always exchange thing with each other kind
That's
of
so
thing.
cool.
And then there's other flavor like we talk about like pandan. It's like the vanilla of Asia.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like from a leaf. It's really mellow kind of thing. So like we love that. No one do it here, you know. And then we also talk about ube.
Yes.
And now it's like ube everywhere.
Everywhere.
But at the time, nobody even know what ube is. You
It was
know?
like, what's this purple stuff? I don't like this. And
Yeah.
now you find ube everywhere, and it's amazing.
Yeah. So it's just really fun. And another lucky thing is my husband, Derek, and Cam, Ying husband, are so similar. The way they think about business are so similar. Because if I call up Ying and say that like, this thing happened and this is what Derek told me. And it's like, Ying was like, yeah, that was exactly what Cam gonna tell me too.
And it's nice too, because like when you're in a relationship, to find another couple is hard, because sometimes you're like, oh, well, I like her, but don't necessarily like him as much, or we like him, but we don't like her. But to have another couple where it's like, oh, right, well, here's this guy born and raised in Utah that married a woman from Southeastern Asia. Both of these women own bakeries, and both of these guys think the same. Like, have fun. You know, it's just so nice that I love that you found Ying in the right way to help you, and I mean, help each other in starting your bakeries and really seeing those both grow, but then also having this new social relationship that understands you in a level that probably not many other people except for your family have understood you here as well. And so then you just kind of build this community from there.
Yeah. And I actually, this is what made me become best friend with Ying.
Okay.
This very story. I remember Ying was like, let's go on double date. And we went to sushi together.
Okay.
And we sit down and we start talking about Utah market and stuff like that, right? And Cam and Derek brought up the topic of sugar. They was like, Utah people really love sugar. And your stuff is not sweet. So do you think that you guys should add more sugar into your stuff to make it sweeter? And Derek like, yeah, I've been telling her this whole time and she keep fighting me. And I look at Ying and I was like, you know my opinion on this. Ying was like, yes, like, dessert shouldn't be about the sugar. It should be about the flavor. Mm-hmm. Like the strawberry, we're going to use fresh strawberry. You're going to close your eye, eat the dessert, and can tell the flavor right away. It's not a guessing game, you know? And that's like, my husband respond back, but like, Utah people don't know. Yeah, and Ying respond really confidently. Then we teach them.
Yes.
And I was like, you're going to be my best friend. You're going to be my best friend forever.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Especially when, like, because it's one thing to be like, oh, because I agree. Like, it's not even just, I mean, Utah being, especially Salt Lake being the capital of sugar, from Swig to Crumble to all of the other, like, local places we have and pop-up bakers, but also if you go anywhere and order anything, there's so much, like everything has extra sugar. Like if you go get a cocktail at a bar, it's going to be a pretty sweet drink. Yeah. If you go to a steakhouse and there's a glaze on it, there's going to be a lot of sugar. Just everything is sweeter. And everybody, I've had so many conversations with people that have moved here and they'll ask me like, why do I feel like everything I have is like sweet? Like, why is it sweet? I'm like, oh, listen, that's kind of like our thing. Like we just love sugar. Yeah. But at the same time, like, the flavor is the most important thing. Like I want to be able to bite into a strawberry donut and be like, oh, I taste the real strawberry flavor compared to artificial strawberry that's just pumped with sugar. So I love that she, instead of, both of you could have easily said, yeah, let's make it sweeter. Let's do what everybody wants. But instead to come back and be like, no. Like, I think it's time for us to educate. We're going to tell them about passion fruit and what this flavor is. We're going to show them what ube is. And we're going to show them that you don't need just an exorbitant amount of sugar to make a dessert. Yeah. So I love that perspective. Interesting.
Yeah. So we definitely think because there's sugar in fruit, you know, so we still use sugar in our products for sure. But I bet that like for me, the crepe cake, I use a quarter amount of sugar compared to any cake in the market.
Interesting. And it's so good. Like, it's so good. Like, that's like, because that's why I go to Doki is like, I'll either see an Instagram post of someone and then I'll be like, oh, there's the crepe cake. And it just sits in my head and it's usually there for like 24 or 48 hours. I'm like, I'm driving down 4 South. We can stop by Doki. We'll just get a crepe cake real quick. It's fine. But yeah, like because you don't need that much sugar if you have the right ingredients and the right, flavors that you and Ying can create in a whim.
Yeah. And actually, I would say that I'm a little bit less picky than Ying. I would be like, okay, this strawberry this time is not as sweet. Maybe I add a teaspoon of sugar to cover that. But Ying will be like, I don't like the strawberry. I'm going to go find something else.
That sounds like Ying, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, we learn a lot from each other for sure. And I'm so happy. I'm so glad to have her like by my side, even through this difficult time kind of thing.
Totally. Who else, kind of similar to Ying, has been helpful in your process with Doki and learning?
Amber.
Yeah.
And then Chase, SLC Foodie. All of the foodie, actually, they was really supportive. They understand small business. You know how like the social media world right now, when you invited somebody, they would be like, okay, how much are you paying me? Mm-hmm. But like with how popular they are, they come in, they understand small business, and they would be like, no money. Yeah. I'm going to help you.
Totally.
And that's just like, and I think that's a major reason why Doki exploded right after COVID is I start meeting these foodie, they start trying the dessert and they start posting about it. And everybody like, I haven't seen that in Utah. Let's go try it.
Yeah. Especially something so unique. Like if I want to get like a traditional glazed donut, there's 10 places I can think of to do that. But if someone's like, oh, let's go to a Japanese bakery, I'd be like, I don't know, but now I know. But and most people are, especially in Utah, like a lot of people's decisions, especially with food, tend to be very like trendy or like wanting to do something new and unique.
Yeah.
And so again, if you're thinking of all the typical places you could go, and then all of a sudden you see this post from someone about Doki, you're like, whoa, what are these like fluffy pancakes? What are these crepe cake? Like, what is this fun stuff? It's so easy to see it and want to go in, but then you do go in, you're like, oh wait, this is amazing. And like, that's one thing I like, and not all of foodies are the same in this way where, if it's good food, they'll post about it. Like they don't need financial incentive, like, cause their job is to show food that they recommend and enjoy. And so like, I think that's one of my favorite signs from people is like, there's a handful of people I know that if something's good, they'll post about it. And so if I see all of those people post about it, I'm like, then yeah, of course this is like a diamond in the rough, like gem that everybody should go to. So all the credit, I agree, is totally worth it. And I've never taken someone to Doki and had them been like, oh, like that was good. Like that was okay. It's always like, I didn't know this was here. I need to come back. I'm like, I'm here to help.
Yeah. I'm happy. Actually, that makes me so happy to hear that, and because of like my experience with social media and the foodie and stuff like that, I always I meet so many like small business, like they just open. Well, they invite Amber, and of course I tag along.
Yes.
So I always tell them because it's the owner concern, right? They was like, is it worth it? Is it worth it to like even without like money incentive? You still give away a tons of food so they can take pictures and stuff like that, right? Is it worth it? Am I telling them like, okay, how much are you going to pay Google for ads? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be $500 a month? Because that's what I know that what Google want to charge me, And can you compete with chain that are paying Google thousands of dollars to put their post first? You can't. So, and here you have somebody that have so many followers, like genuinely, like almost like a cult, And it's like they just put your stuff up and review it and recommend people to come. What's better? Yeah. It's like it's so obvious,
totally.
So that's when I was just like, do it. Yeah, it's worth it.
No, and I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's it's fun to see because like I have so many conversations with people because like I have partners and advertisers on the podcast, and like my conversation with them is like, yeah, like to your point, like you can go pay Google ads, you can go pay Instagram ads, you're competing with whoever your competitors are, and if they're bigger than you, then they're gonna win all of the best at like real estate.
Yeah.
Or you can try something new and creative and do something in a different way. Otherwise, you kind of know exactly what's going to happen. And it's been fun to see people who have leaned into it more, or like experience that I've had where they're like, oh, like this works. I'm like, yeah, like it will. You just kind of need to try something new. So yeah, I agree. There's a lot of really good people that are doing, I mean, great stuff, even with, I mean, as hard as it's been right now, like I've yet to talk to any restaurateur, entrepreneur, anybody in like the food and beverage space that's like, oh, we're doing great. Like, this is awesome. Like, we've never done so well. Like, everybody could use a little bit of help from everybody. Like the thing I tell people now is like, if you're going out to eat once a week, go twice a week. If you're usually going to a chain, try somewhere new, like try somewhere nearby. Because we just all like, I would hate to see our community fall apart over like spending an extra $10 or $20 a week.
Yeah. And that actually, something that I really want to share today about that is most of my restaurant owner or bakery owner friend I know is seeing the average about 30 to 40% down from their business since last summer. Some even reach 50% down. And I think Amber keep a list of local business that like shut down, and the list just keep going. Every single week I would see on Facebook posts like, we're shutting down our business. Here's the equipment we need to sell, kind of thing like that. And it's really sad. And the reality is there's just so many things coming into place against the owner. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about rent. This is someone that I get the information from that she work in commercial real estate. So she knows what she's talking about.
Yes.
A lot of the chain they coming in, are like big investor coming in, and then they want to secure a location, right? Instead of the market rate at the time, $20-something per square feet, they don't want to deal with the hassle with like competing. So they were like, we will pay you high $40 per square feet, double the rate.
Yeah.
And then it's like now the landlord, knowing that they're going to like charge that much, they're not going to go back down for small business.
Nope.
So now small business have to pay corporation rate just to open, just to secure rent. And that already mess up for local
which is
business.
Probably one of your biggest expenses. And to have that go up, 100%, like that makes it so much harder to survive.
Yeah. And then I start like insurance or supplies. This is what the agent told me. They was like, if you have 3 locations and above, I understand for insurance because there's risk involved and stuff like that, right? But even for like supply, Cisco, where most of the people get their supplies from, they're like, if you have 3 stores and above, we will give you a special discount. But if you don't, like some of their cost is insanely high, not as much lower than you go to Smith or like Walmart to get it. I'm like, so you get money from small guy and give the discount to big guy. Make it make sense.
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So that's another thing against local businesses. And then now, of course, with like inflation, everything going up. And this is like, to me, I'm not saying it like it's on the community. It's not. Everybody is having a hard time. Money tight. They need to be conscious about what they're spending, right? But at the same time, I would, like you say, if you go out to eat once a week or twice a week, that priority local businesses, I would say that like corporation, they really smart with their wording. For instance, I have some people say that like, why would I pay that much money to go to a local business? But if I just go to a chain bakery, maybe I pay a little bit less, but there's more variety. And you know why they have more variety? Because everything comes frozen.
Yeah.
I actually know that really well because it's my personality that if I see anything, I want to learn.
Yeah.
So when I was back in Vietnam for 2-month vacation, I actually applied to work in a bakery chain. Because I'm like, I know I don't care about the recipe, but I want to see how the operation,
You're like, I'm going to go undercover.
Yeah. Ying was like, are you serious? I'm like, yes, I'm serious. So I go in, I work for like a week and just learn the operation, how they stock the products and stuff like that, and everything come frozen. You just pull it out and then let it
put it in a little baker,
bake.
push a button, it comes out, you hand it to them, it's done.
Yeah. And that's why most chain bakery, they say fresh, daily bake, but not daily make.
Yes.
That's just their wording. And most people are like, oh,
it was made
fresh
today. This morning, like, no, it was made, it was
baked today.
Made fresh daily, but baked today. Yeah, and I'm with you. And that's the thing too, is like, I would never want to be a place where, because if people are going to continue to incentivize like large businesses to come in, push out all the small businesses, then we just don't have a culture. We just end up like, the example that always comes to mind is like Omaha, Nebraska. I remember driving through there and all there was chains and chains and chains. Yeah. And like, we just need to keep it. It would be devastating if we lost some of our small businesses, because there's so many great people, so many great, like, even like thinking about, let's say, anybody goes out of business and someone else wants to start another one. There's not that same community of people that have done it to be like, oh, I started this, let me help you. If they would then just be competing even more without any support. Yeah. And so that's why we do this, is to support people and have better, fresh made products, not just the thing that's going to get taken out of oven and put in front of you.
Yeah. And another thing of like complaint with the consumer against local businesses is like, you guys run out of stock, wait time is so low, or something like that. Wait time is so long, with like, you guys look like you got short staff, kind of thing like that, And I would say that like, because everyone, they make everything fresh for you. It's just not okay. I know like so many people, like even restaurant owners, they wake up at 5 a.m. just to prep the sauce and stuff like that. So there's a limit of time and like energy for people to just prepare all the things.
Totally.
I always like make this comparison. I was like, how stressful was it for you to make a Thanksgiving dinner for your family of 12? Now, time that by 10.
Yeah. And do that every day.
Yeah. So that was my comparison. So, and I was like, but give them a chance. The food's better quality for sure. There's no preservative. They're probably never frozen, because they would try to keep the product fresh and moving. So I think it's local businesses is the way to go. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, imagine being offered two dinner experiences. One is come to this place, pick up a frozen meal, go put it in your oven, and it'll be ready in 30 minutes. The other one is you come here, we will cook a meal in front of you, talk to you, have a great experience, and we'll give it right to you there. Like, and have it be, this is maybe like 10% more. I'm taking this one every single time. And so in the same way, like, sure, if you want to go to chain place, whatever, but like, you're not getting the best thing. You're paying, like, as far as quality goes, you're paying more for worse. So might as well go support someone, have something made fresh for you, and something unique and new, and that someone puts their own personal stamp of approval on it, of going through the process. Like, that's like, it's just such a weird argument too. Like, and don't get me wrong, like, I have my vices of things that are, large in chains, but like, push comes to shove, I want to support local first.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definite that. And then there was just like a realization for me is a lot of people like compare, like they travel to Southeast Asia, right? They're like, I can get a meal for $2. Like, that will never happen in America. I was like, well, it's never going to get that price, but everything would be cheaper if there's not much cooperation around. The reason why is like, that's like, there's McDonald's, KFC, all of those chains in Vietnam. And they are struggling. They try really hard because down the street, there are 20 more vendors that can do the exact same thing that you're doing. Mm-hmm. And they're keeping the price low. What do you think as a corporation? You're going to charge more than them? You know, like you can't. You have to compete, so you're gonna have to bring down your price, and that's just benefit for everyone.
That's a good point. I haven't thought of it like that before, but yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So like, are you gonna go in paying like $10 for fried chicken, or you just walk down the street and get fried chicken for $2?
Yeah, and you have a great conversation with the guy who's there, and it's like his family recipe, and it's like better, obviously.
Yeah.
Because like the McDonald's and KFC's probably still been frozen, has probably still just mass made.
Yeah.
And then they have to cover all these overhead costs of all the stuff they have to deal with. Like, yeah, like interesting. I wonder if we could ever get back to a world where it's like, oh yeah, I could do that, or I could go down the street and get it from that guy because that guy's better, and I want that.
Yeah. So I think that's like for like in Vietnam, chain only survive because they give the experience like in America. So people who come there, they want to experience like, oh, how is it to eat like America? Like the feeling, you know. But talk about the food, they can't compete with local businesses
Ever.
And I hope that's like local businesses in Utah can grow stronger and stronger to the point that we can say like we take on that corporation, and you gotta have to help us bring the price down, because if they bring the price down, they would negotiate with the supplier.
Yep.
So that the supplier will bring the price down for everyone.
I'm on board. like it makes sense, because if we can support small businesses and give them the business, then it forces big corporations to drop their prices. And I can get behind this cause.
Yeah. So that's like, you know, and then like people talk, like I would say that like, oh, like what if the corporation deal with the supplier and not let small business know, kind of thing. Well, the manager, they might talk, you know, like somebody would talk, kind of thing like that.
Always.
So I was like, it's like, I'm not saying that's like not support corporation at all. There are some, like, I'm a really good friend to Paris Baguette owner.
Paris Baguette. Huh?
Yeah, Kim. Like, she is like a chain owner, but she is an amazing person. So I'm not saying that like not supporting corporation at all, but I'm just saying that's like maybe our 3 times that you go out that do local business 2 and then do chain 1.
Yes.
So it's a fun time right now, but like keep this together, like community together, keep it tight, you know, like so that we can build it even more.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, because right now I think a lot of change is going into Salt Lake. I'm amazed for the almost 10 years I've been here, how much Salt Lake had grown. It's like good and bad at the same time.
Yes, but we got to make sure that if we can control a way that it can grow in the right way, that we do it. Because so many people see an outcome. I mean, especially the people that complain about how big Salt Lake's gotten. Then they're like, well, blah, 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 I want old Salt Lake, and just like angry. And like, well, you know, you have like a part in like how you can, and like who you support and where you put your money is still a part in this. So like, if you give money to the person that's slowly taking over, like that's what you're enabling to take over.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's like, you know, growing is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Everyone need to evolve, right? Yeah. City will evolve. And as a Salt Lake grow, there would be more opportunity, more job, more money into the economy, right? So it's good. We just, like you say, we just have to do it the right way.
Exactly.
And I actually really surprised and so grateful for Salt Lake community. Like, you know, about Doki put out a post saying we need help. And last weekend, it was amazing. I never seen anything like that, you know. So people actually come, people like, we be there, we got you. I received like 50 messages on Instagram for the last 2 days. I respond to every single one of them.
I love that.
And they all saying the same thing. We be there, we got you. And it's just amazing. And that's why I was like, I started putting all the businesses that I know are struggling right now. I'm like, spread the love.
Yes.
Go there too.
Yes. We're not the only one that needs some help. Support the people that need the most support.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you want to end with the two questions I always ask everybody. Number one, if you could have someone on the Small Lake City podcast and hear about their story, who would you want to hear from?
I say Night Up Market.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. They've been, like, because it was one of the first ones I recorded. I talked to them a lot, but then they've just been growing like crazy. So, yeah, Night Market's good.
Yeah, Night Up Market. And then I think maybe even Kim. I think her story is really interesting. Yeah, I don't know why, but she have a pretty good job right now, but she decided that like she want to open Paris Baguette. It's like springing, and I think that's like she have a passion for it. It's like her first food business, and I'm like, that's a really big leap. Like that's a really brave like choice to do it.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I would love to hear her story and what it came to be. But, and then lastly, if people want to find out more about Doki Doki or see the menu, what's the best place to find more information?
They can get more information on our website, dokidessert.com. And then they also can follow us on social media like Instagram. And they can always message me on Instagram and know that I will personally respond to them.
And what's the Instagram handle?
Doki Dessert.
Doki Dessert, DOKI Dessert. And then you're right on 4th South. What's the address?
249 East 400 South.
Yes, so like right below Stone Ground.
Kitchen.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think what's right around there. I mean, the first place growing up, I would always go to Charlie Chow's, but it was before they moved there. They used to be in Trolley Square. Like that was my cultural experience growing up. Like we're going to Charlie Chow's. So I always remember that's close to there too. But if you've never been, go check it out. Go get a crepe cake. Go get it's all so good. Like I don't give recommendations unless I'm willing to put my reputation on it. And Doki Doki deserves it all.
Thank you.
So, no, Irie, thank you so much. This was amazing. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you started Doki, but let's keep it alive. Let's support the small businesses and keep the Salt Lake the way we want it to be.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Small Lake City Podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, review, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends. And we'll catch you next week. We'll see you there.